Like what?
Hey, welcome. I'm currently on Daniel Island, which is where I live. When I first moved down, I was in North Charleston, and then I knew I really wanted to be close to the water, so I moved to Mount Pleasant, and I was there for a year. I always knew once I went to DI my first time, I was like, this is where I'm supposed to be. It's very me. It's very homey. I'm someone who I love a lot of walking trails, and I like to be near everything, but not necessarily involved in it. If you know the downtown life, I'm definitely not a downtown lifer. I don't want that to be my whole life. This is perfect because I'm 5 minutes away, 5-10 minutes away from everything. But I get to walk by the ocean every day. It's very remote, but there's coffee shops, everything to do. If you haven't been to DI, you have to. It's where the Credit One Stadium is. I can literally hear music basically from my patio. So I wanted to start vlogging again for a few different reasons. First, my life's, like I said, has just been really crazy, and when I do have downtime, I am not someone who I just like to sit and do nothing and just watch a Netflix show. I need to be moving, have a hobby, and so this is a good way to get out energy. When I first started vlogging a few years ago, when I moved to Charleston, I didn't have the mindset of sharing it with anyone, and I wanted it to be very private. I've become a really private person over the years. So I started my vlog a few years ago, and I didn't intend on anyone to watch it. And I think I told a few people. My hairstylist was one, my sister was one, and even my brother-in-law a few months ago when I said I wanted to start vlogging again, he was like, I didn't know you ever had a vlog. I was like, I didn't tell you. But, so yeah, I really wanted to start it again, but this time I wanted to share it with people. I think a lot of people, once I graduated college, really wanted to know my business and the ins and outs of everything I was doing, and I think them wanting to know even pushed me further. And I knew a lot of it was centered just so people would have something to talk about, and the last thing I wanted to be was part of the conversation in a group chat or anything like that. So when I graduated college, I basically went through this whole shift, and it was really big and impactful. So kind of trying to get back there. I'm a very disciplined person, but it was hard to describe. Basically my senior year of college, around Christmas, I kind of hit a rock bottom, and I was like, what am I doing? We're getting close to figuring out where my next steps are in life and who I am, and I feel I still didn't have any of that figured out. I think a lot of times too, going out, you're kind of putting on this persona of who you want to portray yourself as, and it's not really who you are. And I think I just have been doing that in a way my whole life. And me and my sister talk about it, and this is kind of why I wanted to start up vlogging again, is I just feel even people I'm really close with just don't understand me, and I'm very misunderstood. Understand how anything you post online, or if you don't post, you're open to public scrutiny. And I've always been aware of that. As a culture, if you post a bikini picture or a selfie with a resting bitch face or any of that, you're immediately put into a box of who people think you are, and which is fine and completely understandable. I think I'm never one who's quick to judge on that account because I've gone through that. The reason why I've wanted to start vlogging again and posting is the number one thing I hear, whether it's dating or from friends or any of that, is people are always you're not what I thought you would be, or oh my gosh, you have a lot of layers. And I think everyone just thinks I'm kind of this artificial. My social media, I barely even post on it anyways, but I think people just have always had me in this box. Growing up, I grew up in a really traditional Catholic household, and when I went to college, I wasn't really allowed to drink senior year, or drink in high school, and then senior year I started drinking a little bit, but when you go to college and you're finally free of your parents, you're like gonna go crazy. And I mean, that's what college is for. So I definitely had my fair share of fun, but I think during that time I really portrayed a version of myself of like you can say anything and it won't hurt my feelings, like very like thick-skinned, like just like the laughing personality, like I'm just gonna like be around you, be silly, crack jokes, and like that type of girl, when really then I would like go home and like sit with myself and I'm like a completely different person. And so I think I've definitely allowed people to put me in the box that I am in. And people are probably like, why do you keep referring to a box? That's just like how I think of it. The more comments that I get of like, you're not what I thought you would be, and like all this stuff, yes, like people can just like form their own opinions of you without like understanding you and knowing you, but it almost, like I said, hurts my feelings because like I've grown definitely from high school, college on, but I feel like even close friends that I've had have like pulled me aside and had like these deep talks with me, and I'm like, wow, like you don't even understand me. I feel like the people that really, really understand me are like my mom and my sister. I'll be like ranting about one of my friends saying XYZ and like trying to sit me down for a talk, and my sister will be like, people just like really don't understand, like they don't know you then. That kind of just went everywhere. But bringing it back to the point, if I'm gonna post on social media or like be at all open to judge, I'd rather people be like talking to you face to face and people judge this type of interaction rather than me posting a selfie on social media and like that interaction, because a photo doesn't really say much about like who I am. If anyone watches this and even gives like anyone a little more insight of who I really am, then like I'm happy to post and share it with people. And I think the first go around when I was posting and I wasn't telling people and I was just like posting these like 4 videos that I think my mindset was the less I post and people know about, then the less they have to talk about. And I just think over the past few years I've realized that's like not going to be the case. Like I said, I probably lost you and you're just like, what the hell? But that's okay. I just wanted to give like a fun little intro of like who I am, where I am in life right now. And this is just going to be strictly like catching up. Especially if you've watched the videos in the past 4 years, which I haven't gone back and watched them. I don't want to divert anyone to them, but if you go back and watch, then it'll probably make more sense. I have a lot of fun things coming up, especially like coming towards the holidays and Thanksgiving, that I want to vlog about. So I just wanted to do like a I'm back video before I like start getting into all that. So where to even begin? A lot has happened in the past few years, and which is so exciting. So one thing, when I moved down here, I graduated college with an exercise and health science degree from a private school in Minnesota, which is where I'm from. And then I knew I wanted to move. I Googled fun places to live and Charleston was number 1. So I was like, okay, I'll just pick there. I don't know anyone. I didn't have a job lined up, anything like that. So I worked like crazy over the summer. A lot of people don't know this. Fun fact, I make fun of myself all the time. I'm a veggie stand girl. I've always worked like 2 to 3 jobs at a time. My parents instilled hard work into me and my sisters at like a really young age, and it's like definitely carried, and I love working, like putting effort towards something and like seeing it flourish. Every summer when I would like go back home, I would work at a veggie stand, and essentially you wake up at like 6 or 7, you drive to the farm, you load up a van with all these veggies, and then they tell you where to go, and you like drive it, and sometimes you have to drive like 2.5 hours to like get to where you're going, camp out, unload your stuff. You're there until like 5, 6 p.m. and then you load it, bring it home. So sometimes you're not getting home till like 7, 8, and it's like, it can be 12, 13-hour days. It was a hustle, but the money was so good. And it was essentially a family friend and like my neighbor in a way who ran it. So when I decided that I was not going to live in Minnesota anymore after college and I didn't really know where, I just started working a bunch again. So I was working like 70, 80 hours at the veggie stand, saving up money for like the chance that I would be able to leave. I also got my Pilates certification. So on the days that I wasn't working, I would go to the studio, and I would have like a few classes in the morning, which was so fun. I love all things like health and wellness. Sometimes I would do classes with like my coworkers and everything. So that was like a really cool experience. But I digress. I just found a remote job, like a random remote job that would like let me be able to move down here when the time was right. So in October 2023, moved down here. Me and my dad, we just loaded up a car, drove down. I knew once I got settled that I wanted to find a job like more towards my liking. So I applied to this position, Sweat House, and it's an infrared sauna cold plunge studio. It's a contrast therapy studio. And if you're into health or wellness, you know how like beneficial contrast therapy is. But it was like right up my alley. I was actually a pack holder before I applied. So I was assistant manager, and then after like 6 months, I became manager. So I've been manager for like about a year of the Charleston location. And over the past few months, they asked me to take on a role of a launch trainer. So when a new studio opens up, a franchisee studio, I fly there, and from like Sunday to Friday, I'm training them in, making sure everything's like compliant and how like we want our business to run, and then I fly back home. So I've been to like East Memphis, Reston, Virginia, Strongsville, Ohio. I've been kind of all over. So it's been full on. A lot of people think like if I post a picture of me in the airport or anything like that, that I'm traveling and doing all these cool things. I'm like, it's actually for work, and it's like it can be like 12-hour days, and then I'll go back to my hotel, and then I'll do stuff focused with like manager work. So I like it. I like staying busy. I've said this for years. I eventually want to open my own company/business. Me and my sister and my family have all like mapped it out, and it would be like a clothing company, but we know the market's like very saturated, so I would have to like hit like the gold mine for it. But we've had days where we like sit down and like plan the logistics of everything. Every single person in my family, I have 2 older sisters, they're both married, and everyone, my mom, dad, everyone is a very like hard work mindset, but everyone's very different in like what they know. Like my brother-in-law Jake is very like smart with like finances and stocks and everything like that. And then my other brother-in-law, he is like high up in like an engineering company, so he knows like the CEO type of part of it. And then my dad owns a construction business. So like I could go on and on, but like everyone brings something to the table. So we like had these thoughts of like starting a business forever, and I would love to do that one day. But I think it's so important when you're young. Like I'm 24, I'm not tied down to anything, and to just like figure out like hobbies, interests, who you are, and like work really fucking hard for something. Another exciting thing that's happened since my last vlog is I'm now an auntie to a little boy named Owen Charles, and he is probably like 14, 15 months. He is a fat little ginger baby, which is everything I could have wanted and more. And what's fun is everyone in my family is extremely sassy, from like my grandma, who's like a sassy little savage, to my mom, my dad, and like everyone, even our dogs. I had a dog, Bailey. She was the sassiest little dog ever. And my sister has a golden doodle mixed with a poodle, and she is extremely sassy. Her name's Coco. And so Owen is now starting to develop like a personality, and he is just a sassy little boy. So that has been so fun. I will say I'm very family orientated, and moving away from Minnesota was extremely hard in that factor, and I like prepped with it for a while. I obviously knew the choices I was going to make and how I would feel, but when a baby's involved, that was really hard, because now my sister is a mother and my brother-in-law's a father, and now I have like a new bundle of joy that I can't be with for his like big milestones. So once he was born, I flew there right away, and I saw him within like the first week. but there's things of like his baptism, his first birthday party, and those things where I had to be like FaceTimed in, and that's really difficult. I don't want like him to look back one day and like feel distant from me. And same thing with like my sister and like her husband. It's obviously hard leaving family in general, but because they're all still in Minnesota. But yeah, not to get like super deep, but that was super challenging. So I'm still trying to navigate that part of it, but it just makes holidays and times that I do see him like a lot more fun. More fun things. I signed up for a marathon. And what's funny is I didn't know this, but they say that around like your mid-20s, you either get married and like have babies or you do a marathon. I didn't know that was like a running thing, but I fit that stereotype. Essentially what happened was I was FaceTiming some of my high school friends. One of my friends lives in San Francisco, and we all have each other on Strava. They're like my only Strava followers. And I am so slow also. Like I can get distance, and I can like, I've worked up to like 10 miles, but like 10-minute pace, like 10-minute pace. And they're all like kicking my ass. So their Strava, like they all followed me on Strava. I followed them back, and then they're posting these times, and I was like, I feel so offended. So we were talking, and there's times where I don't do this anymore, but on Strava, if I don't want to run, I'll go for a walk, and I'll go for long walks. Like some of them are like 3 to 4 hours, and there was this one, it was like 4-hour walk, and we FaceTimed that night, and they were like giving me shit. They're like, I would rather run a marathon than walk for 4 hours. Like, what do you even think about? I was like, the same thing that I think about when I run. We love a hot girl walk, but we were all talking about Strava, and we're like, we should like do something together, like run, like throw it back. And then Logan was like, he lives in San Fran, and he was like, I've done the San Francisco marathon, and it was like sick, and you like go across the bridge, whatever. And it was like almost an impulsive buy, but the run isn't until the end of July, like July 27th. And this was like 3 months ago, and we were like, okay, it's in 9 months, and we're like, we would have plenty of time to actually prep because we want to get through the holidays and everything like that. But we're all like kind of running right now, so just like a far thing to like look forward to. So that next day we all like put our cards down. So we're gonna like search for an Airbnb soon, and we'll like run it back. And I'm like really excited. I was just in East Memphis and running. I wasn't there wasn't like the best place around me to run. Like I didn't feel safe, and I'm there at the studio from like morning to night. So the only times I can like run are like super, super early or super, super late. And then it's forcing me to run on a treadmill, which I have done before. I have like ChatGPT who like came up with a little thing of like how much I should be running. And then it's like I fell off, and then now I'm at this like mental block that I can't like run again. So it's been 2 weeks, and every morning I'm like, okay, go for a run. So someone, if you're watching this, you need to message me right now and like bully me and be like, literally get up and run. I'm also recording, and I see people running like literally down this path, and I'm like, I get it. So that's something that's coming up, but I'm super excited to eventually tackle that again once I get through this little hunch. Another fun thing is in 2 days I'm driving to Asheville. I've never been, and I'm picking my mom up from the airport. Essentially, I'm not going home for Thanksgiving, so my mom decided to come to me, which is so sweet. So I'm gonna pick her up Saturday from Asheville, and we're gonna hang out in Asheville, and then the next day we're gonna go to the Smokies, and then we're gonna stay in Gatlinburg, and then we're gonna go back to Asheville, and then she's gonna be in Charleston a day. So we're kind of traveling all over, but I'm so excited, and I want to vlog that too, so you can come with me. There's nothing like one-on-one time with like a family member, but especially your mom. Family is just like really important to me. So, and especially when you leave and move out of state, you have just like this whole new appreciation for family, and it makes the times that you do see each other like that much more special. So we have a bunch of fun things planned. I'm so excited. that'll be my next vlog, and I'll be starting that in like a couple days. I'm also going to do another vlog because then I get a long period of time where I get to be home for Christmas. And if you don't know me, I am obsessed. I'm like kind of a grandma. Like, sleep is super important to me, so I'm always getting my 8 hours of sleep. I love to garden, but I haven't been able to do that since being home in Minnesota, which has been bomb. I'm thinking about doing an herb garden, but love to garden. I love all baking and cooking. The problem is the stuff that I really enjoy baking, a lot of it I like don't eat. I eat like very, very clean. So then it's like I'm forced to buy sugar and flour and all this stuff and then give it away, which is so fine. I've been doing that. I've been like baking cookies and giving them away, but it adds up. It's like a pretty penny. When I was home last, my mom is like a sourdough queen, and so I baked my first loaf, and then we baked sourdough banana bread, and now I'm like hooked on everything sourdough related. And she would always be like, does anyone want like sourdough waffles and like all this stuff? And I was just like, how much shit can you make sourdough like out of? And then like looking through the book, I'm like, oh my god, we should make this, we should make this. And then you can do so much stuff with discard. You probably don't even know what I'm talking about. It's amazing. I feel like Taylor Swift talking about it. But so for Christmas, everything I asked for is like a sourdough starter kit, a sourdough like cast like iron oven that you like put in to bake it, everything like bake, you like new sheets, new pan sheets, yeah, everything baking related. So that's such my hobby. I home cook like 99% of my meals, but I don't go as hard just because I do share space with another girl. I'm probably gonna move back to single in a couple months, and then just wait, I'll have so many things to report back on and so many fun things that we can bake. I also like want to show you, it's so pretty. I'm obsessed. Other than that, I don't have a lot else that I wanted to say, but that was just a really quick, brief overview of my life. I'm excited to share more, and hopefully if you followed along this far, like shoot me a message and say hey, because you're kind of a real one. Maybe I'll bake you like a sourdough bread, like Taylor Swift or something, or maybe like banana bread muffins. Banana bread, yeah, that's on. But otherwise, enjoy the rest of your day and your days. Love you so much.